Hi, my name's Christy Herselman, and this is The Gender Project. Welcome back to session 4 entitled In the Name of Love. Now, we've been talking to you guys a lot about love. We've been giving you tips on how to love well in the gender conversation, and the reality is, you should be teaching us. Never before has a generation been more loving, and never has there been a generation that fights more for the rights of every person to feel like they truly belong and can live an authentic life. Research is showing us that this generation is the most compassionate, the most loving, the most inclusive, and the most empathetic of any generation before it. So we should probably be asking you to teach us about love. But the reality is that with every generation, we have a double-sided coin. So we have this beautiful generation that is compassionate, that is inclusive, that wants to create a world where every single person feels like they can live authentically and belong. But what the flip side of that is that many teenagers use their feelings as an indicator of truth, rather than an external value system of right and wrong. And while this does add so much value, it can be quite dangerous to use feelings as indicators of what is right and wrong. To question those feelings can sometimes feel self-hating. And when a friend comes to us and tells us that they're transitioning their gender or something like that, it almost feels like we have no choice but to love and support them in their journey, our own personal version of affirmative care. But what does it really mean to love someone? And it gets even more complex where in some situations it may be unloving to one person and loving to another. So what do we do in situations where someone's choice to change their gender has negative consequences for someone else? This quandary is being played out in lots of different arenas. But right now, an arena where we see this mostly being played out is competitive sport, and specifically swimming.
Transgender swimmer Leah Thomas breaking barriers and records. But in a new article, Sports Illustrated calls the college senior the most controversial athlete in America.
Her story, to her, is about swimming. It's about swimming as her authentic self.
Thomas telling the magazine, "I just want to show trans kids and younger trans athletes that they're not alone. They don't have to choose between who they are and the sport they love." Her presence on UPenn's team has become a lightning rod in a bitter debate over transgender athletes in women's sports. Even her teammates are split, with some publicly coming out in support of her, while others say she has an unfair advantage.
So much has happened even since this news story broke. Just last week, the World Swimming Governing Body dashed Leah's hopes of ever competing in the Olympics as a woman. They adopted a new policy which prohibited transgender athletes from competing in women's events. Under these new regulations, transgender women can only compete in women's races if they've completed their transition by the age of 12 years old, and they can prove that they have continually suppressed their testosterone throughout their lives. To accommodate the transgender athletes that have not done this, though, FINA is setting up this open category where transgender athletes can compete against one another in events, including swimming and other sports. So here's a question, and one that I'd like you to just discuss for a few minutes. Do you agree with the ruling by the swimming governing body? Do you agree that there should be a separate category for transgender athletes? Or do you think that Leah has the right to compete as a woman?